of when you hear land use change? Perhaps you think of lush forests being bulldozed to make way for suburban expansion. Perhaps you think of the 50% of habitable land on Earth that is currently used for agriculture. Land use change refers to the alteration of biological activity occurring on land. For instance, converting forests into farmland is a form of land use change. Many forests are natural carbon sinks. Cutting them down releases carbon stored in trees, forest soils, and as carbon dioxide. It reduces future effective carbon storage in forest soils. Greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide absorb the sun's heat, which radiates from the Earth's surface and traps it in the atmosphere. Reducing the heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere will mitigate climate change. Reducing carbon emissions can be accomplished by conserving existing forests. One of the largest natural carbon stores in the world is our forests, and forest destruction for agriculture and other uses is a large contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. The enforcement of protected areas and conservation laws will protect forest reserves and national parks. Forests and other vegetation also help mitigate emissions through carbon sequestration or the storage of carbon in forest soils as the forest ages. By strengthening policies that reduce illegal logging and clear-cutting of forests to make space for farmland and other developments, more trees are available to sequester carbon. These practices bring them other benefits like protection of critical habitats. Alongside forest conservation, sustainable agriculture and practices can help reduce the pressure of forests and lower emissions. For example, precision agriculture uses technology like soil sensors and automated tractors to apply water, fertilizers, pesticides more efficiently, which cuts down on pollution and reduces environmental impact. Practices like diverse cover cropping and polycropping improve soil health while also reducing the need for chemical inputs. Advanced practices like precision drill tilling, which avoids disturbances to the soil, helps prevent erosion and increases carbon storage in the soil. Agroforestry, which involves incorporating forests into agricultural systems, is another key approach. It not only supports biodiversity and efficient carbon sequestration, but also reduces the need to convert forests into farmland. Using efficient water management systems like drip irrigation, swales, and rainwater harvesting can help farmers use less water. This is especially important in areas facing water scarcity and rapidly depleting fossil water reserves. And using quality biological fertilizers such as compost and compost tea made from local food waste eliminates the reliance on chemical fertilizers whose production are a major source of greenhouse gases. Finally, bioregional farming and increasing consumption of locally grown plant-based foods are essential for minimizing the need to expand agricultural land. Regenerative farming practices that focus on building healthy, self-sustaining ecosystems can help improve soil health, increase soil carbon sequestration, and manage agricultural soils. By combining these strategies, protecting forests, promoting sustainable farming practices, and raising awareness, we can make significant progress in reducing carbon emissions and protecting the environment for future generations. Reforestation projects are another tool that can be used to cost-effectively draw down carbon from the atmosphere and store it in the soils. According to work presented in the 5th National Climate Assessment, non-urban reforestation is the single most scalable natural carbon sequestration solution, capable of drawing down over 300 teragrams of CO2 per year at a cost of only $50 per megagram. Reforestation projects can also incorporate elements of indigenous knowledge, agroforestry, and land-back programs to encourage sustainable development and to support local communities while also bringing us closer to reaching climate goals. Number 3, what are some policies that can encourage sustainable land management? Carbon credit dividends and carbon markets are a promising market-based method of ensuring everyone's understanding the value of and shares in the benefits of efforts such as forest preservation, sustainable agriculture, and carbon sequestration. By paying people to draw down atmospheric carbon, we can quickly and affordably obtain climate goals, leveraging the many benefits of distributed and local decision making. Investing in soil measurement and soil carbon monitoring technology will go a long way towards ensuring progress towards these goals. Investing in sustainable agriculture education programs through agricultural extension agencies and other support structures for farmers would help speed up the adoption of new technologies and practices for food production. Providing direct subsidies to increase carbon sequestration and reduce emissions from managed agricultural soils could help rapidly sequester atmospheric carbon while improving agricultural capacity. France's 4 per 1,000 initiative is an example of a policy coordinating voluntary action and education to expand soil carbon storage technologies. This policy and those like it should be expanded to incorporate hard economic incentives to maximize impact. Additionally, the introduction of urban and rural planning incentives for low-impact developments could further accelerate climate action by reducing dependence on inefficient, carbon-intensive transportation systems like cars, trucks, and expanding the adoption of more efficient solutions like trains and barges. Waste management practices including aerobic management of waste sites, methanotrophic bioreactors, and aerobic composting of organic waste have a potential to greatly reducing the amount of methane emitted from trash. Incentivizing recycling programs further has the ability to reduce environmental pollution and microplastics. Expanding local gardens, community farms, forestry services, and local infrastructure has a massive potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, developing communities around the goals of sustainability, bioregionalism, reforestation, education, and community well-being. Presents a large opportunity to leverage distributed and hyperlocal knowledge to rapidly tackle the larger threat of climate change. Number 4, conclusion and moving forward with climate resilience. A large number of changes will be required to survive and thrive in the incoming centuries. There are many actions which can mitigate impacts of climate change, but the financial and political elites of the U.S. have no interest in preserving life or human well-being on the planet. A dramatic shift in financial and economic policy in the U.S. around the world will be required in order to incentivize local action and meet the oncoming challenges. The best thing we can do is organize locally and build communities to develop the technology and political power required to fund and implement dramatic changes that allow our societies to live sustainably through the next millennia. Ordinary people will eventually bear the high costs of greenhouse gas emissions. Whether we start preparing and demanding change now, or wait until the inevitable change is being forced upon us by the law of physics. We know what land use changes are necessary to deliver economic security, make concrete improvements in well-being, and make real progress towards stopping climate breakdown. It only comes down to pressuring governments to allow the necessary changes to land use in time to mitigate major costs from global warming.